Karen tried to cut store line, then shoved customers and got arrested. The line snaked around the corner of the grocery store, a restless coil of people clutching carts under the gray November sky. Karen, in her pristine white coat and oversized sunglasses, strutted past the crowd like she owned the pavement. She didn't just walk, she marched, her heels clicking with the confidence of someone who believed rules were for other people. Inside, the store buzzed with the usual Saturday chaos, carts clashing, kids whining, and cashiers barking orders over the hum of scanners. I, a single dad named Tom, stood fifth in line at Register 3, my cart loaded with groceries for the week. My daughter, Lily, 6 years old and clutching a stuffed bunny, tugged at my sleeve. "Daddy, why's that lady pushing?" she whispered, pointing at Karen, who was now elbowing her way toward the front of the line. Karen's cart rammed into an elderly man's, knocking a loaf of bread to the floor. "Excuse me, I'm in a hurry," she snapped, her voice sharp enough to cut glass. The old man, stooped and wearing a faded veteran's cap, blinked in confusion but said nothing. The woman in front of me, a nurse named Maria still in her scrubs, turned and raised an eyebrow. "There's a line," Maria said firmly, her arms crossed. Karen scoffed, loud enough for half the store to hear. "Some of us have places to be. You'll survive waiting an extra minute." The air grew thick with tension. People shifted uncomfortably, exchanging glances. I felt my jaw tighten. Lily's small hand squeezed mine harder. Karen wasn't just cutting the line, she was rewriting the rules of decency, and the crowd was starting to simmer. Maria stepped forward, blocking Karen's path. "You don't get to shove your way through like that," she said, her voice steady but edged with fire. Karen's eyes narrowed. "Mind your business, sweetheart," she sneered, shoving her cart forward again, this time clipping Maria's hip. A murmur rippled through the line. The elderly man, whose name I later learned was Mr. Thompson, steadied himself against his cart and muttered, "No respect these days." Karen whipped around. "What was that?" "Old man," she barked. "Speak up or stay out of it." The crowd's murmurs grew louder, a low hum of disapproval. I glanced at Lily, who looked scared but curious, her eyes wide as she watched the scene unfold. Then came the twist none of us expected. A teenage boy, maybe 16, with a mop of curly hair and a store apron, stepped out from behind a nearby display. He was restocking shelves, but now he stood tall, his name tag reading Jake. "Ma'am," he said, his voice cracking slightly but firm, "you need to go to the back of the line. You're causing a scene." Karen laughed, a sharp, mocking sound. "You're kidding, right? A kid telling me what to do? Go stack your cans. Junior." Jake didn't flinch. "I'm the assistant manager," he said, pointing to his badge. "And you're not cutting in front of these people." The crowd erupted in quiet cheers, a few clapping. Karen's face turned beet red. She wasn't used to being called out, especially not by a teenager. "You'll regret this," she hissed, shoving her cart harder, this time knocking over a display of cereal boxes. The crash echoed through the store, and shoppers gasped as colorful boxes spilled across the floor. The tension snapped like a taut wire. Maria, now furious, stepped closer to Karen. "You're not special," she said, her voice low and dangerous. "You don't get to bully your way through life." Karen's response was a shove, not with her cart this time, but with her hands, pushing Maria back. The crowd gasped again. Mr. Thompson raised his cane, not threateningly, but as if to say, "Enough." I stepped forward, putting myself between Lily and the chaos. "Hey," I said, my voice louder than I intended. "That's enough. You're out of line literally." Karen turned on me, her sunglasses slipping down her nose. "Stay out of it. Single dad," she spat, glancing at Lily's bunny as if it were evidence of my weakness. That hit a nerve. I'm no hero, but I wasn't about to let this woman intimidate my daughter or anyone else. "You're the one causing problems," I said, stepping closer. "Back off." The store manager, a stocky woman named Linda, appeared, her walkie-talkie crackling. "Ma'am, you need to leave," she said to Karen, her tone leaving no room for argument. Karen laughed again, but it was shaky now. "You can't make me," she said, grabbing her cart and trying to muscle past Maria again. This time, Maria didn't budge. Neither did the crowd. People were closing ranks, forming a human wall. Karen's confidence faltered, but she doubled down, shoving her cart into Mr. Thompson's, knocking his groceries to the floor. A jar of pickles shattered, green juice pooling at his feet. That was the breaking point. Jake, the teenage assistant manager, pulled out his phone and dialed security. "We've got a situation," he said, his voice steady now. Karen's eyes widened. "You're calling the cops on me for what, trying to buy groceries?" Her voice was shrill, but the crowd wasn't buying it. "For assault," Maria shot back, pointing at the spilled groceries and the bruise forming on her hip. "For disrespecting everyone here." The standoff felt like it lasted hours, though it was probably only minutes. Shoppers were shouting now, some filming with their phones. Karen's cart, now a symbol of her entitlement, stood abandoned as she realized the tide had turned. She tried to backtrack, muttering apologies that sounded more like excuses. "I didn't mean to push anyone," she said, her voice softer but insincere. "I'm just stressed. Okay, I have a sick kid at home." The lie was obvious. Her cart was filled with wine and gourmet cheese, not medicine or diapers. Then came the unexpected ally. A woman in her 60s, dressed in a bright yellow scarf and carrying a reusable tote, stepped forward from the back of the line. Her name was Mrs. Carter, a retired school teacher who'd been quietly watching. "You don't get to play the victim," she said, her voice calm but cutting. "I taught kids for 30 years, and I've seen every excuse in the book. You're not stressed, you're selfish, and you're scaring that little girl." She pointed at Lily, who was now hiding behind my leg. The crowd nodded, and Karen's face crumpled, not with guilt, but with the realization she was cornered. Security arrived, 2 guards in black uniforms, followed by a police officer who'd been patrolling nearby. The officer, a no-nonsense woman named Officer Daniels, listened as Maria, Jake, Mr. Thompson, and I recounted the events. Karen tried to interrupt, claiming she was being attacked by the crowd, but the videos on people's phones told the real story. The officer's eyes narrowed as she watched Karen's shove replayed on a bystander's screen. "Ma'am, you're under arrest for assault and disorderly conduct," Officer Daniels said, pulling out handcuffs. Karen's scream was almost comical, a mix of shock and indignation. "Arrested for this, you're ruining my life." She flailed as the cuffs clicked on, her sunglasses falling to the floor. The crowd watched in silence as she was let out, her white coat now smudged with pickle juice. The overturned cart and scattered groceries remained, a testament to her meltdown. Lily looked up at me, her eyes wide. "Is she in trouble?" "Daddy," she asked. I nodded. "Yeah, sweetie. She made bad choices." As the police car pulled away, the store slowly returned to normal. Maria helped Mr. Thompson pick up his groceries, and Jake started restocking the cereal display. Mrs. Carter knelt down to talk to Lily, offering her a candy from her purse. "You're a brave girl," she said, and Lily smiled shyly. I thanked Maria, Jake, and Mrs. Carter, feeling a strange mix of exhaustion and pride. We'd stood up to a bully, not with fists but with unity. The aftermath was bittersweet. Karen's arrest made the local news, her mugshot plastered online next to headlines about line-cutting chaos. Some called her a victim of a woke mob, but most saw her for what she was, someone who thought she could bulldoze her way through life and got a hard lesson instead. The store implemented a new policy for line management, and Jake got a promotion for his quick thinking. Maria and I exchanged numbers, bonding over our shared frustration. Mr. Thompson, it turned out, was a Vietnam vet who'd seen worse than Karen, but still appreciated the crowd support. As for me, I took Lily home and made her favorite spaghetti, grateful for the small victory, It wasn't just about a line. It was about standing up for what's right, even when it's messy. Karen's actions had consequences, and for once, justice felt tangible. But the question lingered, what makes someone act like that? Was it arrogance, desperation, or something deeper? What do you think? Where do you draw the line between standing your ground and escalating a situation? Share your thoughts.